Wait till everybody gets locked in.
You're just.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to. If everybody could mute, that would be great.
Do the opposite.
There we go. Good evening and welcome to our virtual back to school meeting. This is for the 6th grade. I'm Principal Dunning, and tonight you're going to be meeting your teachers. If you haven't already met them, you're going to get a quick little snapshot about what the classroom looks like. Take some time to take a look at we have a brand new website. So we really are trying to, up our game. And for anyone that wants to rewatch this video is being recorded. So you can always go back on our website. It will be posted if you missed something and you wanted to get some additional information. Also on our website is all of our curriculum. So that's on there as well. So feel free to, browse the website. It's got great stuff. If you want to know about our lunch menu, that's on there. If you want to know about the calendar, that's on there. So anything and everything you could possibly imagine. And it's in its infancy stages because we created a brand new one. So as we collect more things and pictures, those will be on there. So everything about our school will be on the website, which is awesome. Our teachers work really hard to make sure that the curriculum is a solid curriculum, that we're pushing the boundaries, but supporting our kids as well, because we really want to get these kids ready for high school. And we want our kids to stand above everybody else. I want people from the high school to say to us, wow, these students are blowing us away. So, you'll see as we go through our core values and beliefs about learning, and that's providing a nurturing, safe environment for our kids, so that when you as parents send your kids to our school, to know that, we make sure that our environment is safe and nurturing. When they come to us as these little 6th grade babies, we have to develop them into, flying 8th graders to high school. So, we want to make sure that our kids have everything that they need in order for them to be successful, regardless of learning levels or disabilities, or, we have kids that are coming to us with a variety of backgrounds. So we want to level that playing field and make sure that our kids can give it their all. And we have an amazing group of teachers. So I'm going to kick it off, and we're going to start with math with Miss Luigi. She'll give a presentation. They'll all give presentations, and then there'll be about 3 minutes for questions and answers, and then we'll move on to the next one. So if there's specific information about your child, you can email the teacher and set up a time to be able to have that, that one-to-one. This is more of just a quick overview about what's going on in your child's classroom. So thank you, everybody, for attending. Appreciate it. And give it to Miss Luigi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Luigi. I'm the 6th grade math teacher. Hopefully you all can see my screen. I just want to welcome you and your families to Isaac School. This is my first year at Isaac, and I'm really excited to be here. I've been teaching 6th grade math for the past 10 years in other districts, so I'm very familiar with the math for 6th grade. I have a co-teacher, Mrs. Chambers. She is the resource teacher, and she helps out some of our students. So as Mrs. Dunning was saying, we have core values and beliefs about learning, which are posted in all the rooms. We have a vision of our graduate, again, posted in all the rooms. And we refer back to this quite frequently in math so that the kids have a direction of what we're looking for, and they know the high standards that we are looking for. We know that all students can succeed with hard work and grit. You're probably going to hear them say that because we say it to them all the time. And it's especially needed in math, so hard work and grit. So for math class, every day, they need a spiral notebook just for math to take notes in. They need a math folder to hold their math papers in. Pencils, pencils, pencils. We can never have enough pencils. And we use pencil in math because we all make mistakes, but we can erase them and fix them and learn from our mistakes. And they need their completed homework. There will be homework in math every other day because I see them only every other day. So they will have homework after every math class. My units of study for this year, we are right now in Unit 1, Rational Numbers. We move on to Unit 2, Fraction and Decimal Operations in the mid-fall. Then we move into Ratios, Proportions, and Percentages. After the new year, we start with Expressions and Equations, which is algebra. It's actually always very fun to introduce that to the 6th graders. And towards the end of the year, we end our year with Geometry and Statistics, which are some very interesting topics for them. So in 6th grade, what it is we briefly touch on and introduce these topics to the students so that in 7th and 8th grade, they're going to get more in depth with these same topics. In Isaac School, we use Google Classroom for some of our work. All the students this is just an example of an algebra one, but all the students have different Google Classrooms and they have a math Google Classroom. And an example of a math Google Classroom is right here. So if you click on at the top of the screen, it says classwork is clicked. This is where you'll find any work. So if your student is absent, their work that they can do would be in here along with a lesson for them to follow along. And then if it's in PDF form. So if you don't have a printer at home, you're more than welcome to do the work or the students can do the work on a blank piece of paper, take a picture of it and upload it to send it to me, or they can just hold on to it and return it to me in person when they come back from their absence. And the same holds, all of the work is here too for the students. If they're missing a work assignment and they lost it or something, it's here for them. They can print it or again, do the work on a blank piece of paper and turn it into me. So I use headers to organize by date, so it's easier for you to find. And I also have a virtual math classroom and it has resources. So an example of that, this is my virtual math classroom. Everything on this is clickable. If you click anchor charts, it has some notes for the kids on our topics that we're learning. If you click this computer, the math manipulatives, it's got all sorts of math games and math tools and things to help the students with their math work. If you click on the dragon sign, that'll take you right to the Isaac website. A virtual math notebook so they can find the notes that I've been making, links to Khan Academy, Legends of Learning, which is a game they've signed up for, Prodigy. So everything is clickable and they can take a peek at that. For Power School, all grades are in Power School. This is an example of a student's student's view of Power School. So if they all have access to Power School on their computers, and they can come in and they can look and they can find their grade for anything. If they click on the grade that's highlighted in blue, I have an arrow to it, it will take them for a more in-depth look at each grade for each assignment. If they click over in the navigation bar over on the side, there's a tool for missing assignments. So if they're missing assignments, you can click that and it'll tell them every assignment that they are missing for every class. And then they can catch up on that, go to Google Classroom and find those missing assignments to make up the work. And then this is more scrolled down towards the bottom. It tells you about their attendance too for each class. So, I don't know why that's it. Shouldn't say Mr. Sheldon. It should say Shannon Luigi, grade 6. And that's my email though. That is my email. So if you have questions, the best way to reach me is email and I can get back to you that day. Does anybody have any questions for me? Trying to make it quick for everyone. All right, I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Toman, who is our ELA teacher for 6th grade.
Thank you, Miss Lucci. Can everybody see my screen okay? Yes, no? Yes, okay, excellent. So welcome back. This is my second kind of year at Isaac. I joined the Isaac community in the middle of last year. So it is fantastic to be back full-time with all of you guys. And Shannon, thank you so much for coming on board. For those of you at home, we are super lucky to have Shannon. We're lucky to have Mike and Jake, who you'll hear from shortly. We really have an excellent team. So I want you to feel comfortable and confident with the grown-ups in charge of your little kiddos during the day. So a little bit about me. I am relatively new to teaching. This is a second career for me. I was most previously a community organizer and assistant speechwriter for the district attorney in Brooklyn in New York City. So I am a transplant, I suppose you could say, to Connecticut. And it is fantastic to be working with this team, this school, and most importantly, our students. Just to give you an idea, because obviously we can't come into the school right now, there's a lot going on, as you know. Just to give you an idea of what these students, what their environment is when they're in our LA class. I really wanted it to be comfortable. I know that sometimes school can be overwhelming, especially at this age. I want the kids to come in, feel comfortable, feel safe, feel at ease with their surroundings. So just to give you a visual of what it looks like, I want to explain this a little bit. What your kiddos will see when they come into my class every day is just kind of a schedule. So they have an idea of what's coming up next. I know that transitions can be tricky for some of us, myself included. So it's always nice to know what's coming up. For those of your students who I have first thing in the morning, Isaac has the students complete a daily survey, which is an incredible source for us as well as them, so that the students know they have somebody who they can talk to. The survey asks how they're feeling, not only physically, but emotionally and socially as well, which is hugely important. So our schedule is different from day to day. So I will always remind them what the scheduled day is. And I usually help them out in case they need to know where they're going next. It can be overwhelming. What they will also see is our objective for that lesson. SWBAT just stands for students will be able to. And it is my job to make sure that the students will be able to accomplish this objective by the end of class. Their homework will be written there as well, and any announcements. So if we have a quiz or a big due date coming up, they will be able to find it right there. So I just want to talk a little bit about our curriculum that we are working through. We have started our school year off with dystopian short stories. What we have been doing is analyzing short passages before we prepare to move into actual storytelling. The story that the students and I will be beginning next week is called The Veldt. It is about a family who lives in a smart house, and the parents grow increasingly concerned with the amount of time that their children spend in their virtual reality playroom. So what I'm most excited about with this unit is that the students can really relate to it, because I'm sure, as you've noticed, these kids love their phones, they love YouTube, they love TikTok. So it's a really interesting story to draw that comparison between real life and fiction. So we'll also be reading The Pedestrian, All Summer in a Day, A Sound of Thunder. Those are all stories by Ray Bradbury. You may know that name. He actually wrote Fahrenheit 451. I think that's a bit advanced for 6th grade, so we'll hold on to that one. From there, we're going to talk about reading nonfiction. It's a really important unit, and we try to make it as engaging as we can, because a lot of times when students hear nonfiction, we get the eye rolls and, oh, great, it's just about the news. But we try to tie in current events and issues and timely matters that may be affecting them. That way we're able to keep them engaged and interested. From there, we'll be doing a unit on the book, The Breadwinner. This is a fantastic story, and it builds off of our nonfiction unit, because it's actually the story of a young Afghanistani girl who is in, I believe the story takes place in 2001, and the Taliban has taken over at that time in Afghanistan. So I am very much looking forward to seeing how the students are able to make connections between our nonfiction reading, especially with what's going on in the world currently, and that story. From there, we'll be exploring my favorite thing, which is Greek mythology. I've started talking about it with some of the kids. They seem really excited. So we'll be reading selections from Doliere's Book of Greek Myths, selections from A Dictionary of Symbols, which really expands upon the ideas of symbolism. And we'll also be looking at Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. We have finished up talking about the different plot elements. So this is a nice way to bring it back full circle, because when we talk about these, they're almost original storytelling. So it's a nice way to wrap up the school year. I am always available at email. I'm also on the Remind app for those of you who may be familiar with that. And my handle there is simply Miss Toman. And of course, the Isaac phone number is there. As long as I am available, I am always happy to speak with you. And I am happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time. If it's easier, you can raise your hands. I know that Zoom has that feature.
I have a quick
No
question.
questions, but your room looks great for the kids. Like, I love it. Everything looks amazing.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but one of the first days of school, the student came in and said, "Oh, I don't even feel like I'm at school." It's like, all right, challenge accepted.
Yes.
Mr. Fromer, I see that your hand is raised.
Yeah, hi, I just have a quick question.
Of
We were
course.
talking a lot about that you're all reading, and maybe you said this, I apologize.
That's okay.
How much reading should the kids be taking home with them? And is there additional reading related to it that they could do if we wanted to enrich that for them?
Absolutely, that's a fantastic question. So right now, we haven't really gotten into the more substantial readings yet. Beginning next week, you will begin to see the boys come home with selections from the Velt. It is a short story, but it is relatively long, which I find ironic. So they will probably be home with, I would say probably 5 pages of reading a night, which I know does not sound like it is a lot, but the text is quite complex. And we will be supplementing that with discussion in the classroom. I will certainly be working to find additional information and supports. We've been doing anticipation work for this story, so we have certainly built up that interest, and a lot of the kids are really eager to get started with the story. So my task this weekend will be to find some extra reading to go along with that if they would like. As we move forward with our larger stories, for example, The Breadwinner, that is our big, I will say like big book of the year. And I'm glad that we're doing it after our nonfiction unit, because we'll be able to incorporate a lot of news articles and supplemental primary sources, secondary sources to go along with that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And that's a great story, The Belt. I read that in middle school too.
Well, I think it was Rafi, and he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, is that the story with yada, yada, yada?" And I was like, "Of course you know it." So I was like, all right, well, we'll be careful with the predictions that you make, because I love hearing them, but you also know what happens.
Mhm. Great.
Anybody else? Okay, well then with that, I will turn it over to Jake Battipaglia. He is our science teacher. He is phenomenal. You are going to love what he has to say. And after that, I believe we have Mr. Presti, who you will equally love. So Jake, I will let you take the floor.
Thank you so much. All right, let me share my screen here. Awesome. All right, so my name is Mr. Battipaglia. I'm actually going to start off by showing a quick little video of the classroom. The beginning of last week was actually my first day, and I am so excited to be the science teacher this year for your kiddos. We have an amazing lab, as you're about to see in here. They were doing some experiments in there with Mr. Sanders the first day that I was in observing. Let's see. And let me start my presentation. And here is our board, which will always have our materials, our classroom expectations, the date and schedule. I think it's really important to have a visual. We'll have our announcements, the unit overview, as well as the objective and the homework. And then some of our very important classroom expectations, of course, that we have grit, which means that we're always giving our best effort, thinking creatively, and making sure that our work is our own, right? I prefer to have a student, give me an authentic answer that is truly their own perspective. I think that, peers can learn from each other just as much as they can learn from me. We respect the speaker, very important to have our voices off while the teacher is talking, but also while students are talking. Again, I think it's so important to learn from each other's perspectives and respond with accountable talk. So that's something that we really, really, really want to drive to the kids. And then, of course, bottom line, respecting ourselves and others, making sure that we're wearing our mask correctly, but staying in our seats during class, not because, I told you so, but because we want to keep our kids safe and learning and in the building. So the materials for class, notebook, lined paper, pencils and a pen, optional highlighter. I have so many pencils, pens, highlighters, and stuff like that. So I will let the kids use one if they forget. Charged Chromebook is very helpful because then they're able to use it during class. Most of the kids are really good with this. And then we have science journals that stay in the class. And then phones are not supposed to be used. They're pretty good with that too, but a reminder to the parents that we don't want the kids using phones during school. For our units for the year, we just finished up Unit 1, and we're about to move in next week to the water cycle and weather patterns. We'll learn about the properties and movements of water and how it affects surface and systems. And then we'll move on to inside the earth, Earth's evolution, ecosystems and human impact, and Earth and the universe. So Earth science for 6th grade is very exciting, and I am very excited to teach these kids. The grading system, the school's grading system, will be 10 points for homework, classwork, 100 points for quizzes, 200 points for tests, and 100 to 200 points for papers, projects, and labs. And the types of activities we'll be doing this year, really fun labs, graphic organizers, PowerPoints, guided note-taking, diagrams, accountable talk and student discourse, researching, hands-on activities, independent reading. So it's going, cross-discipline, and responding with textual evidence. So here are also some connections to other disciplines: reading and writing nonfiction text, responding with textual evidence, computing numbers, solving word problems, creating charts and graphs, and illustrating Earth systems, creating maps. So we're also involving some art too. So here's my contact information. A little bit about myself too. I went to Gilbert High School, then I went to Wheaton College for psychology and a minor in education, and played soccer there as well. And then I went to Southern to get my master's and certification. And now I'm here at Isaac, and I'm really excited to be here. Also, a note, I can say this as not sharing, but the grades were removed for Mr. Sanders. I thought it was most fair to put my own grades in, and we just had a unit test that was 200 points. And then we have a mini project due Monday and Tuesday worth 100 points, and there's 2 homeworks that are going in. So although there is a dash right now and no grade, there are many grades that are going in, and the kids have been aware of this. And then again, just like the other teachers, you can find the information on Google Classroom and PowerSchool. Any questions? Again, feel free to email me if you have any questions. I'm going to pass it off to Social Studies, Mr. Presti.
Thanks, Jake. I appreciate it. Great job. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Mike Presti. I am social studies for sixth grade. Excited to see everyone here tonight. I'm going to go ahead and first share my screen. Here we go. And it should come up right there. It is, and share. And I'm going to go ahead and present. Shall have it. All right, welcome back. Glad to get back at it this year. Again, I'm a new teacher, like so many other teachers here in the building, and totally excited to be here. We will explore a really vast amount of subjects and topics in social studies. I've always been a huge fan growing up of learning about our history, our nation, and the world around us. I'm just really excited to bring that energy to everyone in class. And I think the students are ready to be back and start learning and start talking about the world around them. They're at that age where they notice almost everything. They really do. So it's really a fun conversation to have. I taught in Norwich for the last couple of years, and I did my student teaching over at Marine Science Magnet School in Groton. Also, I finished up my last 3 years at the Coast Guard Academy, where I was in the dorms with the cadets as a guidance counselor, company chief, and leadership instructor at their way early mornings at 7 a.m., which is always great to have students at 7 a.m. But I'm totally excited to be here, and it's just going to be a great year, I can tell already. What are we doing? Actually, let me talk about our classroom real quick. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the building before ours was the YMCA. I found this actually postcard from 1900. Speaking of history, that is our building, and the 3 large windows on the looks like the first floor on the left there. That's actually my classroom. So I am really fortunate to have that classroom. And before that, it was built in 1880 as a mercantile exchange building here in town. So there's a bit of history in our building. The mantle you see at the left is actually a hearth that I think my classroom used to be the director's room. So it's such a cool room to be in. And I'm really excited for the students to enjoy the space. And they really are. So that being said, let me talk a little bit where we're going. What's our roadmap for this year? Well, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to start with community. Me, myself, my role as a global citizen. So we're going to look at it from like a top-down perspective, and then we're going to expand out from there. We are going to talk about just kind of what's happening in our world, but from a sixth grade perspective, I think. We start each day with a news course called CNN 10, where they get to see a little bit of what's going on. I've recognized in my last 2 years that we don't sit down at 6:30 every night anymore and watch the news as a family. You know, I used to do that as a kid and watch whoever it may have been, and they would just give you the news, and it was not that big a deal. Now they have the access to so many different news sources, but I think we need to talk about it in a respectable and a just a really productive way. And that's how we start out almost all of our days. So that's pretty cool. After Unit 1, we're going to go to something called Many Places, Many Faces. This is all about immigration and how we all got to be in New London, Connecticut, the United States, North America, or wherever our ancestors or where we originated. Unless you're Native American, your family came from somewhere, right? So I think this is a really good perspective to talk about, and it's current, absolutely current. People see immigration in many different ways, and we're going to have honest discussions about that. And there's going to be a lot of writing involved, so that's going to be pretty awesome. And that starts in October, so that's Unit 2. And talk about the American journey. Unit 3, the power of paper. Yes, we have to get a little bit to our environment, a little bit about sustainability and how it impacts our daily lives today. And it really does. The way I view recycling and the way we utilize our resources here on the planet has completely changed, I think, in the last 40 years since I can remember. And it's changed in a positive way. It had to change. We're going to talk about that, about how what we buy, what we wear, how it all goes into it, how we're a global community, and how we have to figure out what's the best way to do that going forward. And they're, you know, the next few generations coming up are going to have a huge say in I guess, the outcome of our planet, really. So that's pretty cool. Unit 4, the price of chocolate. Yes, economics, global economics. The planet is shrinking. No longer can we just solely look at within our own borders for our economic health. And that's really important. Most things are not made in the United States anymore. We have to figure out how they get here and what's the cost and who it affects. Right. So these are big macro things. That's pretty cool. All right, that's my 5-minute timer. I'm almost done. Sorry about that. Unit 5, how big is your footprint? Again, are you a responsible human being when it comes to what we use every day and what we take out of this planet? So that's pretty nice. Finally, I just want to mention a couple quick things to piggyback off what Justine Toman said. We will be infusing a lot of reading, so we'll help support ELA from the social studies standpoint. Next month, we begin reading a graphic novel called They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. I'm sure you're familiar with the actor who wrote the book. He was Lieutenant Sulu in Star Trek series and a prominent actor and activist. And it's basically a graphic novel about his time as a internee at a Japanese internment camp on the West Coast, American internment camp, where he interned the Japanese during World War II. And it ties into human rights and social justice. And I already showed the kids the book and they're really excited for that. I think that's where we're going. And I think this is going to be a fantastic, fantastic year. So that'll open up to any questions.
Oh, sorry, I just arrived. I have an 8th grader as well. What was the title of the book?
It's called They Called Us Enemy. So it's a graphic novel. You can look it up on Amazon, obviously. And it's a real honest, account of George went through as I believe he was 4 or 5 when he was taken away to live in a camp in, I want to say Arkansas. So, and he went through a series of camps before the end of the war occurred and he was able to go back home. So it's just, it's a great injustice in our history and we're going to talk about it. Anything else? All righty, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I remember how to do that. There's my Zoom. Great, and on to the next contestant.
All right.
There you go.
Step right up, Mr. Presti. Thank you.
There you go. It's all yours.
Microphone from you right here.
Great.
No, thank you so much. And, Mr. Presti, you covered a couple of really cool things that I wish I included. Number one is the history of this school. I think we don't appreciate that enough. And it also ties into how humble I am to be here at Isaac too. And I just take a lot of pride in being here. So I am Tucker Regan. I'm one of the 2 school social workers here at Isaac. I'm also very fortunate to be one of 2 school social workers for 280 kids that we service. I worked in Guilford for a couple of years, and I myself was a school social worker for about 400 kids by myself. So I really appreciate having the support of Mr. Avery, the other school social worker, as well as a school-based health center. So we have a lot of mental health support here at the school, and we take a lot of pride in that. So the reason I'm talking here tonight is about the advisory program. So the advisory program here at Isaac is for all of your kids. And I saw a couple of kids, I think there, or actually in the background, and also for you kids that are out there, this is what your teachers look like without their masks on for the first time, probably. So definitely take that in. We look a little different without the masks on. So advisory at Isaac is for all kids 6th through 8th grade. It happens 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. And the focus for advisory is providing life skills, social and emotional learning skills to all of our kids. We talk a lot about, we service kids individually with counseling or whether it's problem solving as events occur throughout the year. But our goal for advisory is to provide these kind of skills that we would teach in isolated groups to all kids too. So the way we come up with our curriculum and how we've devised this, it's based off of CASEL, which is the collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning skills. The competencies, so CASEL talks about their 5 competencies, which you can see here on this little diagram on the left: self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. These 5 fundamental character skills will help your kids, adults, anybody actually navigate through life, right? And so we break down these competencies into all of our lessons. Some lessons cover all 5 in one. Some of them cover one at a time to individualize and isolate some of the skills. But we have a lot of fun writing advisory lessons, and there's 18 teachers throughout the school that teach advisory. We cover a lot of hot topics, current events, And the fun part about this is that we're constantly adapting what the curriculum looks like. So we send out reflections and we want feedback from the kids on what are things that you want to learn about too. What are some life skills that you would like to learn about, topics that you'd like to talk about. And a lot of times we adapt the curriculum to give the kids what they want or the teachers what they want to teach too. And we refer to the teachers as advisors. The model is based around having the same teacher for 3 years for Dragon Time and advisory, so that the teacher and that student can build a relationship. That advisor becomes a go-to, whether it's check-ins throughout the day, throughout the quarter, on grades, having a conversation with a trusted adult that's not necessarily an administrator or the counselor in the school. So there's a lot of reasons that we try to reinforce using your advisor as a go-to throughout the school. So here's some topics that we laid out, and this is just a short list, and I'll show you on the next slide what the Q1 calendar looks like. But topics, and these are buzzwords that you'll hear a lot, but growth mindset, grit, accountable talk, that's not just one lesson. We do break those down. And I know sometimes we do get eye rolls when they hear this a million times, but there's a reason we try to drive home and come up with creative ways to talk about these things, not just talking about what professional athletes or celebrities did or to just become successful, but really breaking it down into setting goals or using your growth mindset to get through the first quarter, because you see you have a C in science right now and you are unsure of how to get that grade up. So really breaking down the steps and getting your grade up or setting a goal for yourself. We talk about a lot of interpersonal skills, character traits. Identifying emotions is a big topic for us too. And we really we talk a lot about mindfulness. Teaching the kids how to just take a step back, take a couple of breaths and collect themselves before either saying something, making a decision, feeding off negative thinking, whatever it may be. We dive into some other hot topics, anti-bullying and cyberbullying. And I know in digital arts, they are covering a lot of this stuff. So it is being reinforced in a couple different places. We talk about support and understanding, awareness and acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community. We have a Black Lives Matter, a couple of lessons on Black Lives Matter and what's going on in the country, more to gauge what the kids think is going on too. And just to create safe discussions with accountable talk on how you don't necessarily have to agree with everybody, but you have to be able to listen and at least take in some information too. We talk about suicide prevention. This is an ongoing thing throughout the school year. Warning signs, how to pay attention to your friends if they're acting a little differently. Dangers of substance misuse is a topic that'll come up in the spring, as well as teen dating violence. We're in middle school, and a lot of these things kids might explore with curiosity, but we try to create a safe space for kids to talk about these things and ask questions. Here's a layout of what the first quarter looks like. We're already through into, we're going into goal setting tomorrow. So we did jump the gun a little bit with that one, but we are diving into goal setting tomorrow. We're going to break down, setting a first quarter goal of how to increase a grade or how to look up your missing assignments in PowerSchool, really making it relatable to them. But as you can see, we lay out a wide variety of topics. And on the far right, you can see what CASEL competencies we're trying to target individually in each lesson. If you have any questions, this doesn't necessarily have to be just about advisory, but if you are inquiring about counseling for your students, if you're inquiring about different things that might be happening, situations at home or school, please feel free to reach out to us. Myself, Dean Avery, and we have a school-based health center social worker. We have a lot of people standing by. We have a very strong crisis team at this school that if anything is going on, we meet constantly to brainstorm so that we're never lone wolfing a decision or going with one person's brain. We have a lot of resources here at this school. So please feel free to reach out if anything's going on, or if you have questions about the advisory curriculum. I thank you all for joining us too. This is a great turnout and it's great to see all of you here. And we look forward to this school year ahead. There's a very strong 6th grade team too. And I've gotten to see them, as rock stars so far this year. So I'm going to call an audible and pass this one off to our awesome art teacher. It looks like she's here. Mrs. Blackshaw, I think I see you there.
Yeah, I'm here.
There she is.
Am I showing up?
Take your time.
Okay, so
Here. we see
you-
your little Isaac dragon, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on my share screen. All right, hold on one sec. See if I remember how to do this. Share screen. Okay. Okay, can you guys see that?
Sure can.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you see it? Okay. Just want to put this on present. So, thank you parents for tuning in. Ms. Blackshaw, I'm your students visual arts teacher. We are in a new space this year. We are in the Guard Gallery. And I just want to quickly go over the curriculum for sixth grade. So we're in our first unit called Art Speaks. So we are taking a look at, first we looked at how we can analyze and critique art. And then we're going into the 7 elements of art. And then we will do our culminating project for Unit 1, which will be starting next week. We will have a quiz on the elements and we will have a performance task. That will go, that's for September and October. We will be moving into Unit 2, which is a color theory unit. We'll be looking at color in depth, looking at how color theory is divided into 3 key parts and how color affects moods and spaces, which deals with color symbolism and what colors actually can symbolize and mean in images. That brings us into October and December. Unit 3 is a sculpture unit. So kids will be working with space and form. Specifically, sculptures will touch a little bit on sculpture and history and sculpture and culture, and then go into the 4 basic sculpting methods. And we will focus on one particular method called modeling. And we will be making sculptures based off of inspiration of Romeo Britto. Unit 4 is a drawing unit. We'll be looking at line, shape, and texture in depth, how marks can have meaning, and how drawings can communicate different ideas of perception, invention, and communication. That'll bring us to May and June, is where we take the entire year of all the things we've learned and kind of put them together. We look at how artists can communicate non-verbally, and students will be doing a culminating activity where they're going to express something about themselves in a self-portrait accordion book. That's a quick synopsis of the year. It is well planned, and we're looking forward to seeing the work that students can produce. I want to thank everyone for coming. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Quickest way is by email, but phone calls work as well. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop the share. And I'm going to pass my my baton to Mrs. McMasters, who is doing digital media arts.
It's actually to Miss Francis, who's doing music.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We'll pass the baton to Ms. Francis, who's doing music.
Don't
And
forget
I'm-
about me.
Sorry, I just want to jump in really quickly. I'm sorry to interrupt and throw us off. Miss Denise, not Miss Stunning. Denise, I see that your hand is raised. Did you have a question for Miss Blackshaw?
Yeah, I actually wanted to see her face to kind of, to the voice, but she didn't have her camera on. So at least I know.
I'm not doing that intentionally. Not doing that intentionally. I am having a little trouble flipping that back to where it needs to go. So, yeah, I'm having trouble with that.
If you, just really quick, Chris, if you go where it says start video, there's a little drop down, oh, there you go. You got it.
Oh, okay. Yay, I'm here. I was fooling around. I'm sorry. I have a little bit of funky lips right now. I was fooling around with this last night and I don't know how to fix it yet, but I just want to show you the gallery space really quick. You can see it. Giving you a 360.
Nice.
And oh, now I'm getting a little bit dizzy, but okay. That's it. And that's what I look like. I'll get you real close up. Yeah, don't worry about the lip thing. Sorry about that. All right, am I good?
You're all set, Miss Francis.
Oh boy, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Blackshaw. Can everyone hear me okay? I just want to make sure. Yay! Okay, hello, I am Miss Francis, Laura Francis, if you will. First of all, this is our classroom. I don't want to go any further without saying this is our classroom. I am one of two music teachers. I am part of the 6th grade team. I teach 6th grade general music, and I also teach 7th and 8th grade chorus. Mr. Merrim, who is our band teacher and music tech teacher, teaches band and music tech for 7th and 8th grade. So this is our classroom. We're really lucky to have a really big space. So over here we have X's on the floor. So because music has a little bit of different social distancing guidelines right now, we have to have, when you're sitting in a class, I think it's 3 feet. So that's what the yellow X's are. And then when you're playing or singing, you have to be 6 feet apart. So that's what the green X's are. So that's the front of the room. Oops. This is from the back of the room. We have some percussion. We got some solfege up on the wall. I always have the block schedule on the wall every day. I change the day. I change the date. Wonderful percussion equipment back here. I have a Hamilton poster. Some other instruments over there. And then I have this little, we have an accountable talk station over there. I have a little prize station over there, and then another station up here with my old oil diffuser, calm vibes, just like Miss Toman. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I haven't done Zoom. Okay, let's present. Yay, that's me. Okay. So about me, I am a first-year teacher. But I am so excited that my first job is in such an awesome community and supportive community as Isaac. I'm originally from Massachusetts, so I'm really new to Connecticut and, kind of figuring out the state, the spots to go, and kind of figuring out life as a first-year teacher, but it's been really awesome so far. I love all things music, and I'm very excited to be teaching the 6th graders. So far, they've been amazing, and they really kind of further made me want to teach. So yeah, we're currently almost finishing up our Unit 1, which is the essential elements of music, kind of getting the kids to examine how music influences them, how they relate to music, how it affects their emotions, and kind of getting them to just articulate how music makes them feel, and the essential elements, which are melody, harmony, tempo, all that stuff. Our unit task, which will probably be done next week, for this is to kind of take 2 different songs, one song that they're really familiar with, one song that they're not really familiar with, compare and contrast, and do a written analysis using the essential elements vocabulary that we just had a quiz on. I'm not sure if any parents have heard at home an ostinato is a pattern that repeats, because I play that video constantly in class and they are obsessed. Okay, next, Unit 2 is, get out of the way, the power of music. This is kind of going into music of history, because historical events, kind of thinking about how major events could have impacted music or could have ended up without music. So this unit task is to listen to the Romantic Warrior with their eyes closed and kind of imagine a story going along with the song. identifying each instrument as a character, showing the character development, and all the things like that. I think that's really cool because that kind of relates to art, cross-curricular in a way, kind of draw out their story they're imagining. Oh, why does it keep doing that? Okay, Unit 3. So now we're into like November, December area. This is the evolution of music in different cultures. This is going to be probably my favorite unit. I love talking about music in different cultures. Kind of talking about all different cultures, genres over time, and we're going to perform and create different works based on different genres and different cultures. So students will either create a playlist of popular American songs, or excuse me, popular American culture songs that were affected, or a playlist of songs that show an evolution of music over time. Okay, Unit 4, creation and composition. This one is awesome. Personally, in my own musical education, I did not get a lot of composition time and a lot of time to create. It was more like cut and dry performance, which is fine, but I want the kids to be able to express themselves and kind of be able to compose things that are representative of them. So they're going to start by recreating a theme to a major motion picture, kind of strategize how to arrange a melody and a theme in interesting ways based on what we learned in units past. And they're going to use DAW, which is Digital Audio Workshop, to compose a song digitally. Our last 2 units are American popular music. So we're going to be talking about, how different genres developed from back in like the 40s and the 50s all the way to today, and kind of go in depth about like MTV, how that impacted a lot of music, how, world music kind of went off to the side, and just kind of tying in a lot of historical events, so that can be cross-curricular with Mr. Presti's class as well. This unit task is a genre timeline. They get to pick one genre that we've talked about, so country, rock, hip hop, etc., and do a timeline project of how it has evolved over time through the time that we started talking about it, so 40s, 50s to now 2021. And our last unit, which I'm so excited about, is about ukulele. We're going to learn ukulele, and we're hopefully going to have an informal performance. My fingers are crossed at the end of the year. So in May, and they'll get to play for all of you. Another awesome thing that I get to do is called Dragon Time Chorus. I know Tucker talked about Dragon Time a little bit. Dragon Time is opposite advisory 3 times a week. So on Mondays, I have 6th grade chorus. They have expressed interest in me. 6th graders don't get to take chorus as a class, so they express interest in doing it during Dragon Time. And we are my goal is to get them to sight read and to be able to read music. And to demonstrate these skills through performance. So this concert is going to be December 22nd. I will look at the calendar right now. It is a Wednesday, and it will most likely be live streamed. Updates to come. I hope that it does not have to be live streamed. And this will be together with my 7th and 8th grade chorus and with the band. So my email is there, my phone is there. I'm always willing to talk, always willing to chat. I love it here so far. All the kids are amazing. So that's that. Does anyone have any questions for me? Yes, I see Mr. Fromer.
Yes, this sounds awesome. And my question is more just generally in music in the school. If the kids wanted to do band next year, suppose they wanted to, for example, play trumpet, is there a way they can start learning how to do that in the school, or maybe next year or this year?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I forgot to mention. So kids have also expressed interest in doing Dragon Time Band. So on Thursdays, Mr. Merrim, who is not here, but I promise he's great at what he does, he will do Dragon Time Band, and he will kind of take the lead on teaching kids instruments and kind of getting them to read music. And if the kids express interest in kind of doing a one-on-one lesson sort of situation, I am always willing. I play flute clarinet, so I can help with that. Mr. Merrim's primary instrument is a trumpet, so he can help with that. But the short answer to that is yes, absolutely. We are an art school, so all things arts.
Great, thank you.
Of course. Anyone else? Okay, I think I was the last person on the, so I'm gonna I'm sorry, I'm handing it over to Mrs. Lazaro. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Is
Lisa.
there a question before we go on?
Yes, it looks like Miss Desiree Wells had a question.
Oh, hi. I'm so sorry. My phone, I'm clicking things and I don't know what just happened. I'm sorry, but just want to say I'm so pleased with everything. Like, this is amazing. I'm so excited for the kids.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen and I'll introduce myself. And if there's any questions while I do that, go ahead, Ms. Tolman, if you want to take them. Take a second.
I don't see any other questions right now.
All right, let me see. Okay. All right. Share. All right, well, good evening, everyone. I get to go last, so I hope everyone's still paying attention. My name is Mrs. Lazaro, and this is, I think, probably my 23rd back to school night here at Isaac. So many years, second virtual back to school night. So I do feel like this is all very new to me. So glad to have our students back in the building this year. I have two roles here at Isaac. I teach ELA, SRBI block. It's an intervention block that provides support to students in the area of reading and writing, but also differentiates and provides enrichment, reteaching, practice for students just to get those reading and writing skills where they need to be. I'm also sort of dually presenting for Miss Mitchell. She does the math version of what I do. And this is for both 6th and 7th graders. These classes provide focused instruction. They are small classes of 10 to 12 students at the most. We're able to work on skills sort of in a lab style. And then Miss Mitchell and I are able to sit with small groups of students and provide even more instruction to them. We are going to be taking some benchmark tests in the fall, winter, and spring, just so we can see exactly what your child needs. The class meets on an 8-day rotation, so there's sort of a big space in between. We do ask that students are practicing their reading and writing. For reading, I would love if students read 25 minutes a night at home, just as practice. Student choice is very important. So if they have their own independent reading books, that is great. Grade-wise, each session that we meet, Ms. Mitchell and I, we keep notes on students, we assess them, and we will report those to their math and ELA teachers, and that's where their grades will appear. Let's see. Expectations. We believe all students can succeed with hard work and grit, come to class on time and prepared, have a growth mindset, and once again, pens, pencils, colored pencils. We're going to do a lot of nonfiction informational reading. We like to mark up our text, make notes, underline, draw pictures. So colored pencils are great, and obviously for the math, a calculator. Let's see what else. Just to reiterate, checking PowerSchool is going to help your child be really successful this year. So there's a student and parent sign-in. All the students have received their logins. Their teachers in Dragon Time and in classes are having them check very often. And then there is also the Google Classroom, which is a great resource, especially if your student is absent, because they can access their work from there. And contact information. This is Miss Mitchell's contact information, and this is mine over here. Email, phone call. The other part I wanted to add, I'm also the SRBI coordinator, which basically helps to coordinate supports for students who are struggling and are not already receiving any kind of extra help. So if your child is slipping, you're noticing that they're overwhelmed with work at home or their grades are slipping, we're always watching, but please always feel free to send an email, give us a call, reach out to your student's advisory teacher, because like Mr. Regan said, there is a lot of support in this school, and I just feel really great about it being a great year. I don't know if there's any questions. I'm gonna stop my share so I can see everyone's faces because I kind of lost you all there.
Sorry to keep hogging up the questions, but
No, not at all.
So I remember when I was younger, we had like a library where we actually had to go to the school library and check out books. And so you mentioned the 25 minutes of reading.
Yes.
Does school still have libraries, and is that an option for kids to get books from school to read beyond the ones that they're already being assigned in classes?
So I know that the ELA classrooms have, you know, in-class libraries of books. So that's an option. You know, pre-COVID, kids were encouraged to get a library card, and sometimes we did walking trips over to the library. I don't know, you know, this year what that would look like, but there are books here in the building that they're welcome to sign out.
Great, thanks.
And Ms. Lazaro, can I just piggyback off of that?
Yes.
So Mr. Fromer, in LA, we have something called First Chapter Friday. So I choose from a variety of genres of books that I think the kids either might be interested in or try to get them hooked in a different kind of genre. And I always choose a book that I have a digital copy of. That way I can upload the story to Google Classroom. So if they are interested in continuing the story that I have read and introduced them to, they have access to it digitally as well.
Oh, wow. So they could read it on like a tablet or something, or computer.
Yes, and I
Awesome.
know some kids prefer to have like the physical book. I do too, but in terms of use, it's just kind of easier to navigate it that way, but they do have access to that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Well, this concludes our virtual open back to school night. I'm hoping that, you know, it gave parents a snapshot into all the hard work that your kids are going to be doing and are currently doing. Feel comfortable with the teachers that they have. And again, if you have any questions, particularly about your son or daughter, reach out to the individual teacher. So thank you, everybody, for hopping on with us. I'm very happy with the turnout, and we'll be seeing you. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.